check the fluid level. Fluid level looks good, so that usually indicates that there's no hydraulic leaks anywhere. So we'll go ahead and pull the tires now.
Interesting hubcap.
I'm going to squirt these down to kind of help them come off. Yeah, the extension kind of,
Yeah.
try to do it without the extension. Okay. No, some spray the one. Let me try that one again, see what that does. Oh, yeah, you need this. I just saw it start to spin. Of course it's stuck. Alright. So this is drum brakes here. Most modern cars have disc brakes, but this has drum. And I see a problem already. You want to check the thickness on the brake shoes. These look pretty good still, but it's got a problem with this cable right here is supposed to be riding on the, right here you can see if you come in close. This cable is supposed to be riding on this little holder here, and it's popped off. So what we can do, hopefully, oh, it's all jammed up in there. Yeah, I'll put that up in the air and show you.
Okay.
The cable has popped off.
Oh.
And I think it's popped off because of the parking brake cables are. This one seems to be working. The other side is stuck. But and the shoes are a little more worn on that side because I think that side's been dragging because this is popped off too. So see how it's come off the lever right there? It's supposed to attach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The other side's the same way.
We need to pop the shoes off.
Yeah, you gotta take the shoes off to get these cables off. Probably wanna get the cables first. And I think you gotta tell them what the wheelbase is. I'll get the wheelbase off the door. But I would recommend changing both these cables. As you can see, they're not returning. See how this one's got a bunch of slack in it? So it's not returning all the way. So probably want to change these cables out and then reattach that other small cable there, and then readjust everything.
Okay.
But it looks like the front ones, the brake pads are cracked. I'm going to pop the brake pads out of there. Looking at the brake linings right here, these are the brake pads. And I forgot to bring my thickness gauge, but they're still in good shape. There's probably 3/8 of an inch or maybe about 1/4 inch of brake pad left on them, which is in millimeters, probably about 6 or 7 millimeters, which is still better than like 50%, 60% or better. So the front brakes look good. The rear brake linings look good too, but I see a problem back there that I'll address when I get it up in the air. So I guess, in order to get these brake pads out, we gotta take this spring out of the way. It fell off. And then we have to drive the pins out. See if I can do this. There we go. There's one on top and one on the bottom. Clean the cobwebs out of the way. There it goes, I think. No? Oh, this one to go. There it goes. Okay. Here's the brake pads. Look like they could be dragging. They look like they've been hot, which would indicate a problem with the caliper. So those look a little hot, like they've overheated. So probably need to replace those and probably replace the caliper to correct that. Because the pistons are probably causing the brakes to drag a little bit. So that could be an issue. Retract the pistons in this. I suspect they're stuck. Yeah, they don't want to go back in. Yeah, they're hanging up. So that pretty much indicates that this is causing a brake drag, because those pistons should go back into the bore here, and they're not going in. So you replace this whole caliper for that. This is the brake caliper. These are the brake pads. This is what they call a brake caliper. When you apply the brakes, brake fluid comes through here, pushes these pistons out and squeezes the brake pads against the rotor, and that's what slows it down. But when these won't retract, it'll cause the brakes to drag and overheat, and then you get, the pads overheat because this side's worn down. The brake pads are worn more than the left front, which indicates these are dragging. So you have uneven brake pad wear. This side will wear out faster, and probably, I haven't driven it, but it could even cause the brakes to probably pull to the right when you apply them. So So that's going to have to, this is going to have to be replaced along with the brake pads. And then we can refinish the brake rotors, put them on a machine and machine this surface, or replace the rotors completely. And in order to remove this rotor, you have to take, there's wheel bearings in here, an inner bearing or inner bearing and outer bearing. You have to take those out for this rotor to slide off. And when you go back together, you can re-grease the wheel bearings, and that'll keep everything lubricated really good. So, yeah. That one. And this side comes off. See how these pads are thicker. They don't look like they've been as hot. They're not as dark. It's definitely thinner. And,
This one is dark.
yeah, it's darker.
Darker.
And the rotor was darker on that side too. So. And this side's not going real good either. It's going in a little bit. It's not retracting real well either. Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea to replace both of these. So,
To me, it's like replace both of these.
yeah. So probably brake pads and brake calipers. Need to measure the thickness on these brake rotors. If the thickness is within specification, you can have these resurfaced. If they're too thin, you would have to have them replaced. So, because it's always a good idea to resurface the rotors to break in the new brake pads. It kind of roughens the surface up to break in the new brake pads where they stop good. If you don't resurface these, they won't stop as good as they could. So it's always a good idea to refinish them or replace them, depending on if it's the rotor is within spec. So.